Alright, if you've clicked on this video, then that means that you've already made one grave mistake today, and that is trying to switch the instrument panels without me around. Now I'm going to be walking you through how to switch these panels step by step. There's going to be 3 primary steps that we have to do to get it properly switched. The first step is that we need to actually physically remove the current panels, whether they're the G1000 or the non-G1000 panels. That's going to be with the 4 screws across the top and the 4 screws across the bottom. Now once we've removed those screws, gently pull it out and rest it on the yoke and tilt it forward so that you can see down and see which connections are connected to that display. Undo each of those connections and just let them hang outside as to not fall inside and be lost. Go ahead and remove both panels and set them on the chairs outside. Now go and grab the Pelican case and pull out the new panels, whether they're the G1000 or the non-G1000 panels. So here at the interior, I have both panels out and on the table. But those USB connections, see here at the bottom left, it's hanging down. It is labeled the left side for the standard instruments. Now all of these, you're gonna generally see the labels have either LRIC or G1000 PFD. Anytime you just read these, go ahead and take a look. For the G1000, that's going to go to the standby instruments. For this one, when it's in the G1000 configuration, it's going to be connected to the back of the PFD. So this goes to the primary box on the back of your primary displays. However, this is the cable that will be connected to the back of the G1000 standby instruments. That is very important. This is the most confusing cable. Pilot instruments will go to the standby pilot instruments on the G1000. Now, there's this cable that says standby instruments, and we will not be using this one. That is the most important part when setting up the G1000. Don't put in the standby instruments on the standby instruments on the G1000. Put this one in. Big emphasis. All right. Over here, again, we have the right side and left side. The left side will always go to the top of your instrument panel, and the right side on the G1000 is going to go to the bottom standby instruments, and this cable will this USB connection will just be hanging there. This is the power connection for the co-pilot instrument panel setup that will not be used on the G1000. We have the co-pilot instruments, or the G1000 flaps. So again, this is the main co-pilot instrument connection, and it's labeled properly over here to connect to on the G1000 setup to the bottom, almost the standby instruments, but they call it the flap screen. So this is labeled correctly. This one is labeled, should be labeled over here. The pilot instruments should be pilot instruments / standby instrument G1000, something like that. Now once you have those new panels and they're ready to be placed in, make sure that you have the proper pilot instruments on the left, co-pilot instruments on the right, or for the G1000, the PFD on the left and the MFD on the right. Now the second step that I need you to do is to actually leave the sim itself and go to the instructor station. Now there's 2 racks at the instructor station with 3 computers on each one. The left rack at the top should have a computer that is labeled Master Computer. Now at the bottom right of that computer, there are two doors, one labeled Master and the other labeled Backup. Now open the Master door and pull out that solid state drive. Now when you remove that SSD, confirm that it says Master on that SSD, and do the same with the SSD that you're replacing it with. Once that door is closed, then we're going to move on to step 3, which is to move to the rear of that master computer. Now at the back, we're going to have two boxes that are labeled as switches. The only thing that you really need to do with this box is to press the button so that the light on that box indicates whether it is properly on the G1000 setup or the non-G1000 setup. Once you've completed all 3 of these steps, then the instrument panels should properly indicate when the master computer and all of the other computers are turned on.